Hey travelers, just stopping by to let you know that this episode that you are about to listen to is one of our older ones, and we were going through some growing pains at this time. But if you would like to start from where we consider our newest era of quality, I would go ahead and jump to episode 54, The American Bigfoot. Either way, enjoy travelers.
Welcome back to Infinite Rabbit Hole. If you're joining us for the first time today, I want you to stop, take another look at the episodes that dropped today. You may be on the bonus episode, the second episode that came out.
Yeah.
Go back and check it out. We dropped 2 episodes today. This is just bonus material. And let's talk a little bit about the bonus material.
Yeah. Stop, calibrate, and listen.
I have Andrew with me for this bonus episode. Hey, Andrew, man, what's going on, dude?
Hey.
We are here at Infinite Rabbit Hole are working on getting you guys a lot more material. So these bonus episodes are part of future plans that we have to help build the Infinite Rabbit Hole name, if you will. This is all going to be a way that you can help support the podcast and also get bonus material. And when we refer to bonus material in the future, you know, every once in a while we're going to throw out a bonus episode for everybody. But this is what we're talking about. We're going to give you additional conversations that go along with episodes that just came out. So when we say, hang tight for some bonus material, this is a good example of exactly what you're going to get. And earlier on today, we released an episode on the National Park Mysteries that we covered in season 1. We've dropped part 3 today. We purposely left out one case, and we're going to talk about that right now. A bonus case, if you will, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about little Douglas Legg, a.k.a. Dougie. Douglas was 8 years old. He went missing on July 10th, 1971 at the Santanoni Preserve in Newcomb, New York. And again, if you haven't listened to the first episode today, go back and listen to it. National Park Mysteries Part 3, The Adirondack Mountain. This case also takes place in the Adirondack Mountains in New York. Douglas was roughly 4 foot 6 inches tall, 76 pounds, and was referred to as a mini woodsman because he was so enthralled with the outdoors, as many young boys are at 8 years old. I know when I was 8, I used to love playing outdoors.
Nah.
No?
Nah, I was the dinosaur kid.
Oh.
I love dinosaurs and digging.
My son is also the dinosaur kid, but he goes outside and plays dinosaur. Dude, oh man, my youngest is a female, and she gets pulled with him all the time and gets forced to play dinosaurs.
Heck yeah, man.
But she loves it too. She plays along. As long as they can play dolls, like it's funny, they have this collaboration that they do between dinosaurs and Barbies. it's hilarious.
Yeah, dinosaur Barbie? That's awesome.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I would put a T-Rex in a dress, man.
okay. Sure, man. Let's talk about this case, right? So 8-year-old Douglas Legg began a hike with his relatives when his uncle told him to go back to camp and put on some long pants. His uncle was aware that poison ivy was prevalent on the trails that they were about to walk on. The hike back to the camp was roughly a half a mile. As Douglas approached the camp, he passed his older brother and his cousin roughly 50 yards away from the building. After that, nobody's seen Douglas ever again. The family searched for hours after they realized that Douglas was missing. As the sun was going down, the family phoned in the information about the missing child. Locals from around the town came out to search for the child throughout the night as the temperatures began to plummet. The next day, the formal search began as it seemed like everyone around assisted in the search for the missing person. State Forest Rangers searched with teams of dogs, multiple helicopters were deployed, and the Air Force Base in Plattsburgh sent planes with thermal imaging capabilities to assist in the search. Over 600 individuals assisted in the search for Douglas. During the formal search, the temperature dropped to 40 degrees Fahrenheit in the evenings, making it harder for Douglas if he were still alive. The only sign of Douglas in the first few days of the search was a trail that was picked up by one of the bloodhounds that ended at the edge of a swampy pond. After draining and dragging the pond, nothing was found. No sign of Douglas. On day 5, sneaker tracks were found about 2 miles away around Ward Pond, but the recent rainfall didn't allow for the dogs to pick up any scent to follow. Douglas's search was officially called off after 6 weeks of searching. So, what do you think?
How can you be like a expert hiker at like that age, right?
Well, I think that they were mostly just referring, what did they say? A mini woodsman. So, like, if I'm explaining to somebody about one of my kids, like let's say my son, he's the dinosaur boy, right? I mean, he in no way, shape, or form is a paleontologist, but he loves dinosaurs. So I'm going to refer to him as, he's a dinosaur fanatic. I think that this was just like a play word that they used to describe him. Like, this kid liked to go outside. I know when I was younger, I used to go out and build forts, build bike trails throughout the woods, do all kinds of really cool stuff. If my dad were to call me the mini woodsman, I could see where he got it from. I'm in no way, shape, or form a professional, but I go out there and I have fun, and that's what I'm known for. I think that's what they're kind of referring to with that name.
Oh, gotcha. So if he was like a mini woodsman, right, and obviously trained by parents to be a better woodsman than what he would be, wouldn't there be like tricks that you would learn for? Especially if he's a kid, like they would teach him safety stuffs, like, okay, if you get lost, you should do XYZ, right? I'm not really a woodsman, but I know moss only grows on one side. Like, it always points to one direction, right?
As far as I'm not exactly sure as what the validity of that is.
Yeah. And the whole thing about being lost, right, is to stay still. So, like, if you are lost in the woods, right, it is going to be harder for someone to find you if you're moving around. Like, you're supposed to camp in an area, even though it doesn't seem like, if you hear something, like, you want to go to the sound, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, the human mind plays tricks, even at a young age or an old age. Like, if you're ever sleep deprived or something, you'll start seeing like shadows, right? And especially if you're out in the woods, and even if you are experienced or not experienced, it's easy to get lost in any type of wood, even if you know the area, because are you there every day? Like, maybe a tree fell down and maybe rocks got moved or something from like the path that you had. Like, like, people get lost in cities where you have like GPS and block, like, and that seems like it would be harder to get lost in, but it still happens, right? So,
right.
Being an 8-year-old, or a 9-year-old, 8 or 9, around that age, I feel like even if you were smart enough for it, like, you would put a mark in a tree. If you could mark a tree, you'd rip bark off, or like put up sticks to make a sign or something. Or if you heard running water, you'd go to the water or something. Like, you would do something, or figure out one way or another. Like, maybe, and I know that was a thing that you scare away animals by making like loud noises or something like that. But like,
right.
you also make the loud noises to help people find you, right? So bear's not gonna, I don't think like a bear would be incentivized to come towards you if you're like smacking a stick against something. Like, it's be like, I'm gonna be stepping away from that stick smacking person. Do you feel that? I don't know. I feel like there's got to be some thing or technique or something. Like, if you get lost, is it prone to like hugging a tree or something like that? Is that like a thing? Or
so here's my thoughts on it, right?
yeah,
You got to take into consideration, like you were saying, that this kid is only 8 years old. My oldest is 9. She's going to be 10 soon. And I know that she doesn't have a lot of experience out in the woods, sadly, because I'm a terrible parent. But if she were to get lost, I don't know if she would have the know-how. And even if I were to train her to mark trees or leave a crumb trail to get
like
back to
Hansel
where
and
she was.
Gretel, right?
Yeah, exactly. You get it. I don't know if she's gonna know to do it. So this is what it sounds like happened, right? Is that he went, he got his clothes on, he got dressed, he went back to the trail. My curiosity says, were the people that he was going hiking with, did they continue to walk or did they stay still for him? I was unable to find this. Again, this happened a very long time ago, so any new information isn't going to be there. But I assume that they must have kept walking and came across a fork in the path where they went one way and he went another. Eventually got to a point where he had gone so far that he lost track of where he was. Another thing that could have happened was that, like we had talked about in the previous episode with Tom, is that could have had an animal attack. This kid was only 8 years old. If there was an eastern mountain lion still around, which I quickly did a Google search, by the way. Apparently, the last recorded eastern cougar in the United States was in Maine in 1938, which was actually it was.
If it's 38, then
Yeah.
this happened in what, 1970 something?
71. So that was 28 years. I mean, but they're still finding trail cam footage of these creatures and stuff around. So who knows? I mean, this sounds like, if this poor kid was taken by an animal, it could have been anything. But if you want a stealthy animal that's going to take him out without anybody noticing, it's probably going to be a cat. But to kind of go back a little bit, let's hit the reverse button. I don't think, no matter how good this kid knows the outdoors, that an 8-year-old is going to have the cognitive ability to be able to find his way. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that that's something. He's not going to think about survival skills. He's, 8 years old, man. He's out there playing army men and stuff. He's probably got a stick in his hand, using it as a rifle and shooting off in the woods. Boom, boom, like we used to do as kids and stuff. Or he's got a stick and he's using it as a sword and he's getting lost and just not paying attention to the trail. And he looks up after playing a round of, G.I. Joe or whatever they did in 1971, and he's lost. He doesn't know where he is. I think that's most likely what happened here. I don't think there's a lot to this case. Now,
I mean, also, I guess it would be on the parents, right? Is it bad parenting that, like...
Oh, this is horrible. By the uncle?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is... Dude, if I'm a half a mile away from my camp, I'm not sending an 8-year-old back by themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, really think about it. Think about how far a half mile is, right? And now you're in the middle of the woods with a trail, and you're sending an 8-year-old child back. I mean, obviously the kid made it back because he ran into his brother and his cousin, but obviously the brother and cousin didn't wait for him. The brother and
Yeah.
cousin went forward and met up with the uncle, but kid didn't make it back to his uncle. This was horrible decision by this man. A little bit more information. So let's talk about why I don't think that this kid was properly trained in any way, shape, or form when it came to the woods, or do I think his parents or his uncle had any formal training themselves either. I did a little bit of research into the Santanoni Preserve. Now, the Santanoni Preserve, it was the camp that the family was staying at. It was actually owned by Douglas's mother's parents. It's an estate. It's a luxurious estate. It's huge, really big, very nice. I was looking at pictures of it on the internet. It's the property is almost 13,000 acres, and the land is a mixture of dense forests, swamps, and bogs. A little bit of history about the place itself. After Douglas had gone missing, the family ended up selling it to the New York Forest Rangers, and they actually lost it to the state of New York. And now the Santanoni estate is actually a historical site. You actually have to hike 5 miles from the closest road to get to it. The pictures of it are beautiful. It's actually a very, very beautiful place. And this is not like your normal everyday campground. This isn't like they weren't staying in tents. This is Douglas came from some money. Okay. And if I don't want to throw assumptions out there or anything, but like if I were to assume something is that if a young man, 8 years old, comes from money, right, and they're out there in a luxurious estate in the middle of the New York woods, I'm assuming he doesn't spend a lot of time in the woods. And that little descriptive name that they used, the mini woodsman, was extremely false. And Douglas was probably pampered a little bit more than people think.
Right.
And again, I hate to, assume stuff. I don't mean to do that.
Yeah. I mean, it could be.
Hey, everybody. Bear with us while we take this quick break.
Like every parent thinks the most of their child, right? And when you are describing things about your child, you always bolster, right? Because it's human nature. Like you don't want to be like, yeah, my kid's a F up or whatever. Like you want to be saying the strengths or like more to the strengths, right?
Exactly. What do you think?
Well, I don't know if you saw there was in 1996 there was a claim by a woman that one of her family members kidnapped and killed Dougie, and
Yes.
dumped the body in a lake in Lewis County, right?
I actually did read this. She was in a psychiatric ward, or she was an escapee, and she was having some sort of false memory that she had, and she must have seen it in like a news report or a newspaper, and immediately attached herself to the story and created this elaborate story. Is that what you found?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and there's another one about a Navy sailor who was on leave, and he actually, I know how this process goes. When you want to take leave from the Navy, you have to write down every place that you're going to be, addresses and everything. And apparently, this gentleman was not where he had stated he was going to be. He was near this estate. and he actually, I think he said he tripped over human remains out in the middle of the woods. And he never reported it, because if he had reported it, he would have been in trouble with the Navy.
Right.
Which is true. He definitely would have been in trouble with the Navy. Until he found, years later, when he heard about Douglas's missing person report. And then he's from Montana, and he flew all the way out to New York to help officials try to relocate the body that he saw when he was in the military, and they were unable to find anything.
Yeah. I mean, like, I always worried about, because it was in the 70s, right? So there wasn't as much media presence as there is nowadays, or like
Sure.
Big Brother looking at you. So who's to say that they didn't see a blonde-haired kid, right, or a young kid that could be easily taken and sold into like slave trafficking or stuff like that? Because I know that's like a worry that people have even nowadays. CJ actually, using his experience, he almost had his kid abducted when he was out at a park right by his house. Like, literally, two guys were, one was walking towards him and his kid, and it's a scary thought that, like, he kind of got him away from him, but the park was like had a one-way through, so the guy came from one side, and then a truck came like screeching up next to it, that the guy got into the truck. And it seems like, had CJ not done his like parent duty, like, they were coming for a kid, and that kid would have been thrown in the truck and taken away. And something like that just seems like, okay, you're out in a forest, right? You're clearly separated from everyone. It's just you. So even if it's a human element, like, we could also say animal element, right? Because it's a small being, like, is 4'6". It's still 4'6" is a fairly tall person. Like, that's what the equivalent for, yeah, for like I think is 4'8" the classification for a midget, or is it 4'5"? I think
this kid was also only 76 pounds. Remember that, so he's a rail.
Yeah, I think it's 4'5". If you're 4 feet 5 inches, that is the highest you can be, or tallest you can be, to not be classified as a little person, right? Or so this kid was a bigger, like, skinny, lengthy looking kid, and I don't know, like, it seems like it would be ideal prey for a bigger animal. I don't think any lesser animal would take him out. But, like, nothing was found, right? There was no bodies, there was no, like, clothing, no pants or something, no fractured skull. It was just gone, right? That's what the reports were.
Yep, that's it.
So if it was an animal, it was a person, like, it definitely covered its tracks or hit it, or maybe this kid also fell underneath a tree. And since CJ's not here, maybe it could have been the fact that like fae or aliens or something. Like, it could always be a creature, right? Something this size, like, playing to you. If it was Bigfoot, just sees it as a morsel or a snack or something, comes and grabs it.
I pretty much already put out my opinions about it. I think he was probably playing around on his way back to meet up with his uncle and got lost. Unfortunately, being lost in the woods is no joke, especially when you're 8 years old. Poor kid. Unfortunately, most likely ended way too shortly, unless he's now living with somebody else who had kidnapped him. Even then, I'd still feel horrible. Either way, there's no happy ending to this one. And some kid either ended his life early or is living with a family that's not his rightful family, and that's horrible. And I do think that this is just a case of a kid being a kid and an uncle that didn't quite make the best decision that day.
Yeah. And the uncle probably beats himself up about it, but like, I'm just gonna say, like, something that my grandfather always taught me, like, you can't make a person a good parent, right? And you can't make a person good whatever. Like, it's easy to become a parent, like that's not hard to do, but like it's hard to willing to sacrifice for your kid or your kid's enjoyment or their kid's safety, right? Because there's a lot that you have to do as a parent for it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to suffer for their well-being, not all the time, but like whether it's man hours so they have food on their back, or like exercise. Like this uncle could have done the 50 feet or 50 yards that he needed to and walk back with his kid, rather than just be like, oh man, like you got the wrong pants on, go change your pants. You could have been like, oh, you got the wrong pants on, let me go back and maybe I could get a snack when I'm back there or something.
I hate this case. I hate things that deal with kids, man. I'm a father of 3, and just leaves a horrible taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
Anyways, if anybody listening wants to add to the conversation, either from this episode or from the main episode that we dropped today, please feel free to reach out to us at infiniterabbithole@gmail.com or reach us on any of our socials. Andrew, you got anything else to put out, man?
No. Again, if you guys are feeling down and out, please reach out to your respective friends, family. There are hotlines to talk. Just don't let yourself get to that point where you think there's nothing else to do. There is always some way or some reason to continue on.
Absolutely, 100% agree. Take care of yourselves out there, everybody. And if you're curious about what bonus material sounds like, this is it. We're going to be continuing conversations through other means eventually, coming up soon, most likely for season 3. Be ready for some pretty big announcements coming with the season premiere of season 3. We'll be putting on some pretty big stuff. Season 2 has been an absolute blast. We had some cast members leave. We gained some cast members and had a great time. And we're going to roll right into next week talking about Project Bluebeam for our season finale. It is going to be an absolute wild ride. We're going to talk about some really deep stuff with a good buddy of ours from the Shadow Band podcast, Jeff. He is a conspiracy theorist at heart. And you guys are going to really enjoy what this man has to say. And he is going to blow your mind, as I think we're all going to. We're going to talk about one of our first ever real deep worldwide conspiracies. And we'll see you there. Andrew, thanks for coming out with me today.
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I know CJ had to bounce in between recording the last episode and this bonus episode, but that's okay. We got about 30 minutes bonus content for everybody out of this, and I hope everyone enjoyed it. And yet again, thank you for joining us on this episode of Infinite Rabbit Hole. We'll see you next time.
Hey everyone, Thank you for joining us on this episode of Infinite Rabbit Hole. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can do so at infiniterabbithole@gmail.com. Follow us at facebook.com/infiniterabbithole. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/infiniterh. Follow us on Instagram at infinite_rabbit_hole. We're always looking for someone that has a story to share. So if you feel like you've experienced a strange encounter with something that you can't explain, reach out to us. Let us know. Come on, have a good time, tell your story. And if for some reason you don't want to show up on a podcast, send us a letter in our email in a format that we can read to the fans, and we'll be more than happy to read it to everybody. Well, that's all for this episode. We'll see you next time down the Infinite Rabbit Hole.